Oh, hello. I'm Justin D. Jenkins, the managing editor of The Quintessential Gentleman, and I'm here today with director Kris Wimberly. We're discussing his latest series for Disney, Firebuds. Kris, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Now, you mentioned a little bit earlier when we were just kind of chatting, you have daughters. How many daughters do you have?
I have two daughters, two beautiful daughters. One is 3 and one just turned 1. So
Wow. Yeah, those are
yeah,
good ages.
yeah, it's a busy time around my
Yeah.
house for sure.
Busy time, but they're probably excited for the new series, Firebuds. The premise of the series is a group of young first responders and their talking vehicles. It's a very timely series coming out of COVID. We've seen how important first responders are. Tell me more about how this project came to be.
Yeah, so the show creator, Craig Gerber, did an amazing job putting together a show that really looks to celebrate first responders. I think in a time that we really, want to have figures that we can lean on and trust and respect.
Yeah.
And coming off of his other two shows, he that were about princesses, I think this one was really special to him to create something that also could be fun and dynamic and in a more of a sort of I guess heroic way.
Yeah.
And I think that that really came through with this show. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so awesome. So what does it mean for you to be working with the brand as large as Disney, especially as a director and a Black director in animation?
Yeah, I don't take it lightly. It's really important to me because, as I've been coming up through my tenure in animation, which is now just a couple months shy of 15 years,
Wow.
there isn't really many of us, which I think is what you're kind of alluding to. And to do it at the level that's so highly regarded and respected as Disney is, it just really means a lot to me, and I want to do the most with that. So I really try to, you know, bring my A game plus whatever extra I can dig up every day and every show that I've worked on. But yeah, it's definitely a blessing to be in this position.
Yeah, and then obviously for, those with kids and even me, I love nostalgia and I remember the glory days of waking up, every Saturday morning and watching cartoons. What do you hope young kids take away from this, especially the bonding time that they will have with their fathers or their mothers when they see, characters that look like them and hold these prestigious jobs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that is a really important message that we have in the show
Yeah,
because, yes, it's about first responders, but really the show celebrates kids who look up to their parents in the different jobs and roles and positions they have and how they relate to society and wanting to emulate that. And that goes not only professionally but also then ties back into their home relationships. So we do a lot, and I make sure that we do a lot within our episodes to really draw that out to the forefront so that when children are watching it with their families, because we're not just setting out to make a show to educate children but also entertain families
yeah.
together as a unit. Um, that special bond comes through pretty loud and clear, and it's really exciting for me to do that with the Black family that
Yeah.
exists in the show as one of the main characters. It's really kind of exciting.
Yeah. Now, going back to your childhood, what were some of your favorite animated series, or what kind of influenced you to say, "Huh, I can kind of do this, and I want to develop my craft in this art form"?
uh it was so long ago that I knew what I wanted to do. It's
Yeah.
almost hard to pinpoint what was the big thing, but I do remember a lot of my influences because, when you're a little kid, everybody asks you, "What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do?" And so when I realized, like, oh, we got to have a job, okay,
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, well, I want to be
Yeah.
a cartoonist,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, "No, I don't think that's what you want to do,"
Yeah.
because nobody really understood what I meant was I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to work in animation because I didn't have the language for that at 4
Yeah.
years old.
Right.
But being that I grew up with cable TV, that was like the big thing at the time. I'm not going to list the dates for that. But
Yeah.
growing up with cable TV, I really got to uh, just be immersed in animation. And some of my biggest influences were um, um, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like, Droopy or Tom and Jerry, or,
Yeah.
different things like that, all the way to Looney Tunes. That was a big one for me. And so, really, those classic cartoons that pushed what the medium was capable of,
Yeah.
that was what excited me. And then I do remember, just one last quick thing, is that as a child, watching the music video Opposites Attract with Paula Abdul, and she was
Yes.
dancing with a cat, which blew my mind as a
Yes.
kid. I was like, how is that possible that
Yeah.
a person is dancing with a cartoon? And I think it's those things that really made me excited to want to pursue the career. Even though I was met with a little bit of friction to do that,
Yeah.
I eventually found my place and made it work.
That's so cool. I love that you mentioned the Paula Abdul reference because that was such a great video. I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan of Paula Abdul. Now, you actually have an aspiring story to tell, and your story kind of pushes the narrative of trusting the process, believing in the process, and enjoying the process. You started working as a custodian at Disneyland, and now you're here. Can you kind of walk me through that journey?
Yeah. What a journey. You know, I guess where it really starts is with stubbornness. And, I think part of that is just in my DNA from, what my parents gave me. But I think it's also kind of a cornerstone of the black male experience, right? You have to have a lot of tenacity. You have to have a lot of uh, well, I'm going to do it anyway,
Yeah,
even when you're told that you maybe can't or shouldn't or won't be able to. And so, getting to your question, while I was coming out of art school,
mm,
I was doing really well with my other roles as a in sales, doing a lot of different types of sales, doing really, really well for myself, but realized I was getting kind of stuck
yeah,
because once you start building a lifestyle around that and everything, it just kind of, that becomes your path. But what I realized is, if I don't want to get stuck like these other managers I'm seeing at these different retail stores or doing whatever, I need to make a change. And so, like, that day, I vowed to go find a job anywhere that I could, just start at the bottom and kind of sort of like, you know, goodwill hunting my way up
yeah,
that ladder. And I thought, well, what's the biggest art animation company I can think of? Which obviously is a no-brainer. I was like, well, I guess that's Disney. So what would be starting at the bottom, or bottom? I don't want to put a stink on it, but
yeah,
yeah, like starting at the bottom. I thought, well, I'll just go knock on Disneyland's door. I'm right down
yeah,
the street because I went to school down in Orange County, Cal State Fullerton, and I asked if I could have a job, and they said, "What would you like to do?" I said, "I want to do one of the art jobs. Like, there's plenty of those around here." But what I didn't know is those are really, really, really challenging to get, and
yeah,
people kind of stay in those positions until they're old and gray. So I was like, "Well, put me anywhere, because one day I'm gonna be animating for Disney."
yeah.
And the woman said, "All right, how about custodial?" And I was like, okay, let's do it. So then they put me in custodial services, and I worked as a custodian for actually quite a short time,
Yeah,
because the whole time I was there, I didn't lose sight of what was important to me, what my goal was. I
right.
made sure to ask a lot of questions and get myself the leverage I needed behind me, and the support that I needed to show people this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And they supported me to make that journey happen.
That's amazing that you were strategic in doing that. You were open about your actual goals and how those steps, and even now where you are, it's kind of hard to imagine how you would get there through promotions. But I guess, like you said, it's being open and honest, and the people that kind of surrounded you helped you get there. That's amazing. But then also, as a Black man in animation, you do talk about some of the obstacles you faced. Why is it important for others who look like you to know about careers in animation?
Because education is everything, right? Like, you don't know what you don't know, and
Yeah,
so unless somebody tells you, how do you know what to shoot for? And I'm sad to say that I have seen a lot of portfolios of many people, not just Black folk, but many people who are sort of fall into that marginalized bracket,
Yeah.
right? And it's clear that there's a lack of understanding of what is really needed to do the job. And that's not a fault of their own. It's just, if you aren't put in the places to have the resources and connections to ask the questions, not even that somebody's going to give you a handout, but just to be able
Yeah.
to even ask the questions, like you don't know what you don't know. And so um I believe that it is important, which is why for a while I had a podcast called The Animation Network, which really was a tool designed to supplement people's education so that they knew just how many jobs there were
Yes.
in animation, jobs they'd never even heard of,
Right.
some that don't even require artistic talent,
Yeah.
right? Many, many, many jobs that are available. So that's always been really important to me, to try to help get that education out there, uh, just through my trials and tribulations of
Yeah.
learning it myself. Right now, I can shortcut it for other people.
Yeah. And it's amazing, like you said, your purpose and your mission, and you're kind of taking that education a step further with the creation of Smokescreen, which is an independent Black-owned animation studio that you started with your brother. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and again, the importance of it?
Yeah, I mean, that is such, again, it's another blessing that I thought, I hoped one day I would be in a position to do something like this. I didn't think it would happen until my mid to late 50s,
Mhm.
and this has come, a good 20 plus years early for me. So uh but basically what it is sort of the next iteration of what my podcast used to be, but rather than just educating people and helping them break into the industry that way, we are literally providing a training ground, like a boot camp of sorts, with Studio Smokescreen to not only educate people how to do these jobs, but literally give them on the job training, teaching them how to do the work at industry level quality and at industry level pace, which is really the big kind of nail in the coffin for a lot of people who don't make their way into the industry, because it's a really big gamble. It's a big investment to hire somebody to work at the level that we work at, especially as you mentioned Disney. That's nothing to play around with. So it's a gamble that studios really don't take lightly. And so what we're doing with Studio Smokescreen is facilitating sort of that bridge, right? That gateway to get people in the industry by giving them the chance, the opportunity, uh, which isn't always cut and dry. It's a little messy, it's a little complex sometimes, but it's what needs to happen if we want to better the industry and expand it and tell new stories that people are excited to hear and see.
Yeah. And I love animation because we all talk about representation and how media matters. And that's one of the first iteration, a lot of kids see, cartoons, and especially coming from our community to be able to see ourselves. And it's so interesting that taken on this task with Studio Smokescreen, your podcast, and other projects you've worked on, especially now with there's a lot of issues going on with Hollywood and animators and equality. How important it is for someone that looked like you to still be in the room to make sure that our community is a part of the conversation as this kind of battle is going on?
That's a great question, and I think the show that I'm working on now, Firebuds, is a perfect example of that, because you know I pointed back earlier to the show creator Craig Gerber. Um, it's important to him as well to
Yeah,
build a room that reflects the stories that we're telling, the narratives that we're trying to push, and also the relationships, like the family relationships.
yeah,
There's a lot of times it's really interesting because until you actually are put in a position to see how it could work differently, you don't really realize it. Because, like I said, working in the industry 15 years now, it becomes just ingrained. It's part of the process that you just, we're making stories, we're pumping them out, we're, getting eyes on the TV screen. But it does take a project and the people telling the project to make you like pump the brakes and realize, like, wait a minute, why haven't we been doing it this way before? And yeah, what if we do try it this way? And you know, without diving into specifics, because you got to watch the show to see, but there has literally been moments where network executives had reached out to me personally and said, "This is amazing. This like they're pointing out a specific part of an episode, and like we've never seen this before." And it was a moment between Jaden, one of the main characters, who is a young black boy, kind of inventor, and his father. Right? We don't really get to see a lot of those moments of a black father and son,
Yeah.
and how do we want to portray that? Like, what should that look like that that we are proud of? And Firebuds does that not just with Jaden and his father Jamal, but also all of the kids. Bo, who's half Filipino, half Jewish, and Violet, who has two moms. Right? Like, we really are thinking about that and bringing the people in the room who can authentically and organically tell those stories and those perspectives with the most respect possible.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's great to just show, so many facets of life, and to again to introduce that to the young kids that will be watching that on Disney is going to be an amazing experience. Before I let you go, tell us what's next from you. I know you're working hard on Firebuds, but anything you can share about what's coming up next from Studio Smokescreen, from you?
Yeah. Um, I'm so proud just every day. Like, I am extremely grateful. I practice a lot of gratitude for all the opportunities I have. Obviously, one of them being Firebuds, which premieres next week, on the 21st, so September 21st. Uh, and the other thing is, I do have my own show in development with Disney because,
Nice.
they love what they've seen from me. They've really given me the room to flex my creative muscles
Yeah,
and do do what it is that I set out to do back when I started at trying to climb up the ladder from being a custodian, right? Like, just every day I'm feeling really excited about that. I also am in talks with a number of other studios for other projects via Studio Smokescreen,
yeah,
which is just every day I can't believe that this is the life I get to live. When
yeah,
people were saying, I don't know if that's the right choice to make
yeah.
for a career, but it's possible, and we're doing it. But first things first, though, Firebuds, that it's going
Firebuds.
to be a juggernaut of a show. I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, we're definitely excited for you. You definitely showed that there's power in the process and to stick to your journey. I appreciate talking with you and good luck with the show. I will be having all my nieces and nephews and watching with them when it premieres Wednesday,
Thank
September
you.
21st. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.